How's it going, Martians? Welcome back to the report. In this one, I've got two articles for you. The first being from You Today, titled Ripple's XRP is being adopted by almost every bank in Japan, or every Japanese bank. So said CipherTrace CEO. The second article is from The Block, titled Ripple plans to expand partnerships with Brazilian banks in 2020. So the great news for 2020 just keeps rolling out. All this evidence that we are going to see mass adoption, mass enablement of the XRP ecosystem, not just RippleNet going into 2020. So, real quick before we hop into the article, as always, if you're new to my channel, please do me a favor and hit that subscribe and ring that bell so that you can be notified of all my newest videos. And if you've been around for a while, as always, you know I appreciate the likes because they help with the YouTube algorithm. And if you're new, now you know. So let's jump straight into this first article from Alex, titled, well, we already know the title. The article begins, David Javans, the CEO of blockchain sleuth CipherTrace, blockchain sleuth. I wonder what kind of that's like a technical name. It's usually like sleuth is like a detective, right? At any rate, CipherTrace made a bombshell announcement that almost every Japanese bank was starting to use the XRP cryptocurrency at the annual Rakuten Technology Conference. He was quoted, "So, there's over 1,600 cryptocurrencies that use blockchain. All of us have probably heard about Bitcoin, some of us about Ethereum. In Japan, almost every bank is starting to work with what is called XRP. So Japan's love for Ripple has a strong presence in Japan. Back in 2018, SBI Ripple Asia, a joint venture with Japanese financial service company SBI Holdings, launched MoneyTap. This consumer-focused app that relies on Ripple's technology to allow sending money with the help of a phone number or QR code. In early November, You Today reported about Fukushima Bank forming a partnership with SBI Holding to use MoneyTap. Prior to that, other major Japanese banks, like in the likes of Kita Nippon, adopted the Ripple-powered payment solution. Ripple's blockchain research initiative, UBRI, also added the University of Tokyo to the network of its higher educational institutions earlier this month. So major banks will trade crypto. One of the boldest predictions, obviously, that you've heard me voice from previous articles by Brad Garlinghouse, is that the top 20 biggest banks are going, well, half of the top 20 biggest banks are going to hold and trade crypto next year. However, Garlinghouse didn't specify whether it would be XRP, but I think that that's a given because he's the CEO of Ripple, which is the largest stakeholder in XRP. I mean, let's be real here. And there's also no other digital asset that is so closely connected to the financial institution as XRP. So, that said, 2019 has been truly phenomenal for Ripple. Despite the steep price decline of XRP, the company has surpassed 300 customers this year, which is a major milestone, guys. And let's just keep in mind that the price, there's this old adage that price will remain irrational longer than a sane man can remain solvent, right? And so the idea behind that isn't so much so that you have to be crazy to hold XRP long enough to get rich, as much as a sane person seeing what we're seeing would be in the same situation many of us are in which we have put every single last dime we can into this because the writing is on the wall. Many people I'm aware of have gone into extraordinary debt to get big bags of XRP. And that's obviously why they're feeling a lot of pain since XRP's price is down right now. And that causes a lot of negative sentiment in themselves, right? And thus in the community when they go and vent their frustrations online. And so it is that negative, that pressure from those individuals who have over-leveraged themselves to get into XRP, who feel the heat of needing this payoff at some time in the immediate future from their perspective due to having to pay off, their loan, or the interest on their loan at least, right? So when you factor in that, that's what that saying really means when it says the sane, it's longer than the sane can remain solvent. Because if you're just somebody who's looking at this and putting what you can afford to, then obviously you're going to remain solvent, because the money that you put into this ecosystem, it's like, well, if I put it here, there's a chance it'll go to nothing, but I'm pretty confident that there's a chance if I wait long enough, this will mature into something fantastic. At least that's my perspective, even though I'm obviously, as many of you who have watched my channel for some time witnessed, I've gone super deep in XRP and put myself into some pretty rough situations just to be able to get more. But I digress. This is obviously huge. Most of us who have been in the ecosystem for a long time already kind of knew that every bank in Japan, almost every bank in Japan, would be going on RippleNet this year, and as they did. But now we know that in 2020 they will be going on to use the digital asset XRP. Now, another bank that they did not mention in here, which is the largest bank in Japan, and I believe the third or fourth largest in the world, is MUFG. And we know that MUFG is also a member of RippleNet, and therefore highly likely, as the rest of Japan goes on to use XRP themselves as well. But let's jump into our second article here. Well, now I'm being shown ads. Okay, there we go. Our second article from the block, once again titled Ripple Plans to Expand Partnerships with Brazilian Banks in 2020. So, blockchain payments firm Ripple, which recently hit a valuation of 10 billion, even though XRP is flirting with 8 billion, is targeting more partnerships with Brazilian banks in the coming year. The firm's current focus is to coordinate with banks and regulators in the country to make remittances more efficient. Luiz Antonio Sacco, managing director of South America at Ripple, told Reuters Brazil, Ripple launched operations in Brazil earlier this year and already has partnered with Santander, Bradesco, Rendimento, and other banks in the country. With successive advances in Brazilian banking regulations to facilitate financial transactions, including international opportunities, here will grow greatly. Here, I think this is meant to say, here we will grow greatly in the coming years. Again, from Sacco. Sacco, I think it'd be pronounced. Most cross-border payment transactions in Brazil are currently processed via SWIFT, which is expensive and can take up to a week per the report. Sacco said transfers via Ripple can cost up to 10% of the amount charged by the bank. I don't know why I said up to. It should be as low as 10% of the amount charged by banks. At any rate, the news follows Ripple's whopping 200 million Series C funding round earlier this month. Brad Garlinghouse, CEO of Ripple, said at the time that he expects the firm's customers base to grow 30 to 40% and transaction volume to increase over 600% in 2020. Ripple currently has over 300 customers for its global payment network, RippleNet. Out of those 300 customers, more than 24 use the firm's on-demand liquidity solution that leverages XRP. And this number is obviously only set to grow exponentially as we enter into 2020. And if Brad's projected volume increase for XRP is mirrored by the customers to use XRP, which that's not guaranteed. It could just be MoneyGram ramping up so much so that MoneyGram and SPI ramping up so much that it increases by 600%. But at any rate, if the customer usage of XRP ramps up 600%, then suddenly we're looking at it'd be 6 would be 3 times, and this is 6 times. So we'd have 120 some banks, 144 banks, I think. That's how that would work out. Let's calculate that. We're going to say 24 times 6. Yeah, 144. Wow. Yeah. Okay, so just so everybody knows, I'm doing good mental math. 144 banks to use XRP by the end of 2020. That's a far cry from just 24, or a little bit over 24, right? At any rate, that's obviously just speculation and the hopes of our glorious leader, Brad Garlinghouse, over there at Ripple, even though XRP is a decentralized network, and we have R3 also making massive headway at the end of this year with some amazing news, which if you haven't already, you should absolutely go and check out that video I did, which is currently my most viewed video of December. So I will be putting the thumbnail right here for you to go check it out. But as always, thank you all for tuning in. Once again, if you've made it this far, don't forget to hit that like, and I'll see all of you in my next one on Mars.